This time, I'd like to call a regular meeting of the Wallingford Inland Wetlands and Watercourse Commission to order. The time is 7 o'clock, and the date is November 1st, 2023. Please join me in a pledge of allegiance to the flag.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Nick Kern.
Jim Vitale.
Deborah Phillips.
Jeffrey Necchio.
Jim Heilman.
Erin O'Hare, environmental planner.
Okay, going on to the consideration of the minutes of the regular meeting of October 4th. Any comments regarding the minutes? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that the minutes of the regular meeting on October 4th, 2023 be accepted as submitted.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. Any discussion? Call for a vote. Nick?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Jeff?
Yes.
Jimmy?
Yes.
Yes. Going on to old business, A18 12.2, 32 Barnes Road, release of bond.
They're going to come up with a new design to fix.
You got to speak up louder. You turned on?
It is on. I mean, the red light's on. Can you hear
That
me
sounds
now?
a little better. There you go. Try again now.
So they're going to have to do a little redesign. They have a failure. Minor. It's minor, but they're going to...
They got a new name on the building?
Orifal. Yes. They were bought out by Orifal.
So I don't know if that changes this heading on these agenda items.
That's interesting.
But we won't go into that.
Yeah. The individual's the same that I've been dealing with, though, so at least that's good. Some of the, the staff,
Okay.
a lot of the staff is the same.
Application A23 10.1, North Main Street Extension, In Memoriam Cemetery.
Okay, I'm surprised they're not here to present this, but in their absence, I can carry on. So you got the environmental planners report on this project. It went out on your got Friday night packets, and essentially, long story, but I added all to the back. The attachments show the history of this since August, when the neighbor called up after a storm and said, there's sand in my in-ground swimming pool from the project. And that's not supposed to happen. So I go out there, and there is, and turns out the swales were installed incorrectly. So then the engineer had to not only did the contractor, it was a two-pronged problem. Contractor installed them incorrectly, but the engineer had to redesign it for phase one. We had approved it for a phase one and phase two, but they just built phase one. So that's okay, you can do that, but then you have to adjust the stormwater to wrap around the phase you're working on. You can't just leave it hanging on both ends. So they have rectified that with a new plan, and what they're going to do is, after it gets approved tonight, they're going to dig out the old...
Well, I don't know if we can approve this without them being here. If they're not agreeing, do they need to agree to all the conditions?
Okay, they have a copy of this. I mean, their engineer came in and got it for them, a copy of it on Friday. So they have a copy of it, and I would urge you to consider approving it. Here's why. Because the winter's coming, and it's not right.
It's not right now?
Oh, correct. They've got silt fence up, because otherwise it'll go into this neighbor's yard and into her swimming pool, et cetera. So it has to be approved. In other words, this new design should have been approved originally.
All right, okay, you got me confused. We have to approve this tonight so they can finish what they've got to do?
Obviously, the commission makes its own decisions, but I am urging you to approve it tonight because, yes, for them to finish it, because it's a different design. It's not what you saw in June when you approved it in June. It's a different design. And that different design went out in the packets, I believe, or was it last month? Anyway.
But what, and what if we don't approve it tonight?
It's just that the winter's coming and the thing won't work. So the water won't be retained. See, these swales are like this. It's a long, you know,
You can tell me all you want about the swales. I'm looking more at the legality of this. Let's just table this to the end of the meeting if they come in and so on. I'd like to hear them say they're agreeing to all these things before we approve it.
okay. And maybe what you're referring to is I'm sort of using a different tactic here, where I'm sort of making them do the corrections that they hadn't done that I asked for. I was carrot and stick. I'm using a carrot and a stick. Maybe you noticed that in the way I worded the conditions of approval. Like, you don't get to finish your project. I know you want to, but you didn't give me stuff over here down to protect Payton's Brook. So until, I know you want your approval, but you got to do XYZ down by Payton's Brook.
Well, as commissioners in favor of that, save it until the end of the meeting, see if they come.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, not to mention the fact that after what Aaron just said, if we were to go ahead and require them to do something, we never approved that.
That's right, never agreed to it.
I hate to see it get hung up that way. However, at the same time, I recognize there's a feeling of urgency in the fact that bad weather is coming, so I would ask a couple of questions. One, how dire is this situation? How much damage is it causing? And what would be the ramification of not getting the folks in here to approve it before winter? Who's going to be hurt by this?
Mostly the neighbor down Gradient, who's sounded the clarion call right away when they first started the project without any wetland permits. And then she called me up, and that got the ball rolling like a year ago, and then they had to, do the design and get on it and so on. I guess minor is then my other concern is for Payton's Brook, because they have a big stockyard of piles of cut trees, piles of leaves, grass, dirt in the back, huge. I mean, many different ones, maybe eight different ones. And there's no management of it, and it just drains down into Payton's Brook and the wetlands there behind the stockyard in the back of the cemetery. You can't see it. They tucked it in the back, They've got a beautiful cemetery. So this is in the back, in the woods. So and then the other concern would be if people are going to visit their relatives in the cemetery, they'd like to see it all finished, not all with hay bales with stakes sticking out and silt fence and all that.
Well, let's wait till the end of the meeting.
Yeah, I mean, this is crazy. Maybe it's a lawsuit between the neighbor and the cemetery, but anyway, we'll talk about it briefly at the end of the meeting. Okay, new business, application A18 1.2 801, North Colony and 6 Beaumont Road. I am the Walrus LLC. This is a release for a bond.
Yeah, the request came in yesterday for the release of the bond. So that's new on our agenda. Or maybe it was on it 2 years ago, but now it's come up again. And they want it released. So today, their ecologists send in a report. I handed it out tonight. I don't expect you to read it tonight, and that's why they're not here. I said, the commission cannot read of this tonight, but I will tell you what I'll do. I'll hand it out tonight, and I did photograph the site yesterday, but I will ask you if you could drive by the site or stop in the parking lot and go see the wetland corridor, the river corridor. This is Tractor Supply, next to Walmart. It's been a long history. They had a 6-year plan to restore that river corridor. Well, the development was delayed a year, so it's turned into a 7-year plan, and it's had a number of issues along the way. I could go into them, Mr. Chairman, if you want me to, but if you don't, then...
Well, I don't think they succeeded in restoring anything there, except all knotweed and everything else growing.
So then the question is, what do we do? The time frame is up. So as far as the 6-year plan goes, The owner wants the $10,000 back, the bond. So the commission, it's kind of like it's not like it should have been, but you can't, it's sort of a situation you can't get there from here, meaning it'll never, you could throw $100,000 at this and it may never be what it should
I
be.
never thought when they came in with the 6-year plan it was feasible anyhow. What they said they were going to accomplish was
Well, the major setback was when a landscaper team went in there unsupervised and cut down a lot of native trees. That was like the kiss of death, because it had trees, and now it has, just a handful of trees. It had a number of trees, like 20 trees were cut down. So that was by mistake. And then there, maybe 3 years in, it was neglected. The ecologists didn't go out there and didn't submit reports, and I had to go after them for the reports, whatever. But I think we have to deal with what's there today and what are we going to do about it. But it deserves looking at, like in the field, if you go out there and look. Is it good enough? Okay? That's the real question. Nothing's eroding. That's our primary concern, is erosion. So there's no erosion, so that's good. Did it meet the expectations? No. No way did it. Is it a lot of invasives? Yes. Yes. Some of those invasives are holding in the steep section where it bends. You know how it takes a sharp bend under Route 5? Those Japanese knotweed roots are very sturdy, so they're holding that bank in pretty good. So, it's a mixed bag, but it is not very attractive. But
well,
again, we're not designers.
We'll take a look at the report and think about it, because I don't know what the report is. I don't know what they're suggesting to do, but I think we all agree that this was a crazy plan, 6 years. Swipe each knotweed, and it seemed to work 1 year, but it didn't last much more than that.
I mean, unless you get after the roots, there's no way you're going to hurt it. In fact, you probably strengthen the root system, extend it a little bit more.
Well, look, I never saw that process done before or heard of it, where they swiped each stalk by hand, and it seemed to do quite a job, but didn't get it completely. All right, so we'll just deal with, so it's not ready for a release of bond yet.
No, they want to come and present next time, and basically they're done. Like I suggested, how about planting 10 trees? We kicked that around. Would they consider that?
Well, they planted trees, and I don't think they survived, did they? They planted evergreens right on the edge of the pavement.
Some of them didn't because they were neglected and got overrun by bittersweet vines and so on, or were not watered. I mean, or landscapers.
One didn't survive because it fell over right after they planted it.
It's tough not being on a site. Like, you do a good job with your backyard because you're right there. You can check it every night after you come home from work if you want to. But when a site is removed like this and
Well,
it's
it's
tough.
$10,000. You would think they would be more interested in
Tough.
somewhat, getting it somewhat right. So we'll see next month.
Yeah.
Receipt of new applications, 10A23, 10.2, 264 Cook Hill Road. This was for a garage. Aaron reviewed it and thought it would satisfy for a administration approval. So I agreed with Aaron to get granted administration approval. Okay, G, 24 schedule. We have it here. This is a draft of the schedule. Does anybody see any issues with it at the moment? It's pretty early to tell. And July 3rd, there's also a couple other dates, but I don't think July 3rd is the one we want anyhow.
Right.
The 4th of July, people will be going different places. Do we want the 17th or the 24th? I think the 17th. Let's try for the 17th. Okay? July 17th.
Okay.
All right, hear that?
You're going to vote on it?
What's that?
Are you going to vote
we need a vote on it?
Usually.
I'll entertain a motion to approve the schedule for 2024.
Mis- okay. Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that the schedule for 2024 be accepted
With the change?
with the change.
Second.
Second. All in favor?
Yes.
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay. All right. What's that? Okay, let's, we come down to violations. Anything with 1245 Old Colony, Aaron? Nothing. Wayne,
Well,
the engineer?
it's in the law department now, the
In the
file.
law department?
She asked for the file, so she's working down that end of it.
Okay. The pallets, 3340, 346 Quinnipiac, I heard that pile is dwindling.
Oh, yes, and what happened, I was unavailable, but they did go out, the planning department folks went out, town planner and the CEO went out, and they were pleasantly surprised that they cleaned up the mulch pile and the pallet stacking of the pallets dwindling, and I asked them to measure, and it was in excess of 50 feet, and they did that for me, so it's just right outside the jurisdiction. Now, it's in a floodway, and this whole stockyard is in a floodway. So, but that's under planning. They do the floodways, so that's under their jurisdiction.
Okay, so this is off our agenda list then. This is done,
Or not, yes.
right?
Yes, there's different parts of that property that do come closer in our jurisdiction, but this particular thing with the pallets is done, yes.
Number 3, the cease and desist order for 67 Schoolhouse Road. How you doing tonight? Good. You? You were going to bring us up to date tonight on the good news.
Trying for good news. So I'm just trying to save some money to put together a construction crew to come out and take it out. I'm working with somebody, but I have to have a certain amount of money before they could, proceed.
You working with a local contractor? I know you had dealt some with a local contractor.
Yeah, I talked with Rusty Rogers and another contractor as well. The deviation price is kind of like they're guessing how much material they have to take away. So I think in the end, it's going to be how much material is removed is how much I'm going to be caused to pay.
You think you have any idea of time frame when you might have enough saved?
I don't want to say exact time. I mean, it could be, I don't know, my family, I'm the only one that's working. Well, my wife just started working again, because she's a teacher. So.
I mean, I don't want to hear 5 years.
No, I mean, a year?
So somewhere between 6 months and a year, you'd have a pretty good idea on that?
Yeah, I mean, if not, I'd like the guy to come out and at least make piles, and then as I could have it removed, if I got to pay a truckload at a time, something like that. It's the idea I had.
What's the commissioner's feelings? Nick?
I'd rather have you not do anything until the winter goes by, because you get in there now and start making a muddy mess and stirring up everything. I'd rather wait till the funding's available so where you can at least make an attempt on it,
Right,
because you open it up now, you're just going to have a mess.
right. And yeah, if it rains or snows, it's going to silt.
Even the rain we've had, if you go in there now, you're going to sink up to your axles, and it's going to be just a
Associated time frame with it?
I don't know if we give them,
You mentioned a year. I don't know if that was realistic or just
maybe July or August next year. Give them, that way spring would come and go by. We have some pictures that Aaron gave us. It looks like it's pretty well stabilized itself.
Right, yeah, I'm not sure what's growing back there, hay of some type. I really haven't been back there to really monitor it, but weeds and some clover, and it doesn't seem like it's silting into the woods. I mean, the deer come through and eat, it's not really.
Want to give till September meeting? September 4th?
Yeah, does September 4th fit into you believe
Yeah,
Michelle will be back to work and you'll have a little extra income so you can, I personally wouldn't want you to see anything done until you can go in there and do a chunk of it and take a bite out of it or do the whole thing because wetlands are
Piecemeal
still.
would be-
yeah, I could see that
Commissioners,
becoming a
how's
disaster.
everybody else feel? Jimmy?
I agree with Nick. The less you are in there, the better off the whole situation will be. So when the conditions are right, all conditions are right, do it and get it done.
Just do it once and get it over with.
Yeah.
Okay,
Summer.
so, I'm sorry,
Summer's fine, yeah.
then I'll entertain a motion to continue this till September 4th, 2024. Is that the correct motion?
Yeah, we'd like to see him come back on September 4th with good news that it's all cleared up. We're not going to give you another year after September 4th. I mean, we've waited long enough. I think you're intelligent enough to get in there and you know what has to be done. Right? So it's just finding the right contractor that knows that he's got to, you talked about R.L. Rogers, they're pretty conscious of environmental issues. So stick with somebody that you know is going to give you the service that you need to correct this.
That's not, yeah.
Motion
that's-
made?
Oh,
No, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that the decision, the extension of a deadline for the removal of the fill on 67 Schoolhouse Road be continued until September 4th, 2024.
Second?
Second.
and
Motion made.
could I just suggest that that's fine, but could you add the cease and desist order remains? And with that, everything you said, and the cease and desist order remains.
And the cease and desist order will remain.
Second.
Any discussion? No discussion, call for a vote. Nick?
Yes.
Jen? Aaron? Deb?
Yes.
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 Yes. Okay, good luck.
I don't know if you got this yet in the mail.
Okay, number 4, cease and desist to Carl, little case. I don't think anything's changed there.
I have a question. I'm going to ask Aaron first. Because that involves the same property but someone else. Does
Mike?
a motion have to be made? Mike?
Mike?
We're going to talk about the next one on the agenda, which is Carl. We're just going to talk about that. Just wait a second, if you would, maybe. You might want to hear this, that's all.
I just want to know if they need a motion.
Oh, well, I don't know if the chairman's
Oh,
going to take
wait.
up number 4.
Yeah, but what do you think you're going to do with Carl?
Oh, we can talk about just what
Well,
I was going to say.
Is he in existence?
What I was going to say is that the law department asked for the file in that regard, so I have given the file to the law
I was
department.
just going to, the cease and desist remains in order for number 4.
Yes,
That's all. Because there's nothing, don't have much to do with that regarding that.
We just instructed him that we want somebody reliable.
no, I just thought he might want to hear what we just said, that it's up in the law department. We are,
Yeah, well,
Well, number 4 is not reliable. There's an issue with number,
number 4, cease and desist order remains in effect for Carl regarding this property.
right, but the choice for the commission is to drop it entirely or to have the law department pursue it, and I'm happy that they're taking it
But you said
seriously.
it was already up there.
The file went up, yes, so now it's,
And what did the law department say?
that they couldn't do it by tonight, they couldn't be ready with the answer by tonight, but they will,
Well, but-
by December, we'll have it.
What were they going to do? Do you know?
No,
You have no idea what the law department's going to do with it?
no. It's enforcement related, but I don't know the style of enforcement.
What did you say? I missed that.
It will be a type of enforcement.
type of enforcement.
Yes.
Well, that ought to be interesting.
Well, it'd be nice if it was reimbursement so that the money could go towards the cleanup of what they dumped there. That would help. If Janice is looking for a way to do this, fine him, let him pay the fine, and then have the money go back to the property owner so he can clean the mess up that the contractor made. Yes or no?
Well, we don't have fines in Wallingford. You know, we explored that. Some towns do. It would be a different, I don't know what it's called, a different type of enforcement with the courts.
Well, I know personally, I don't want him back on that site.
No?
No.
I don't think they do either.
He's not trustworthy, and he's just not, it's not going to happen.
Right. It's unfortunate because that could be the answer. But in this case, you don't want them on your property. I mean, it's not.
Well, let's see next month. Tune in next month to see what the law department has to say. So, but I will entertain a motion to keep cease and desist order regarding item 4.
All right, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that the cease and desist order on 67 Schoolhouse Road, Carl Kieslick, remain in effect.
Second.
All in favor? Yes.
Aye.
Aye.
Yes.
Aye.
Any opposed? None.
Okay,
Set.
we're all set.
Okay, number 6, under violations. You're moving along well with that, Aaron?
Oh, yes. I went out there today with Roman, and it's great. I mean, it's done.
It's done.
We're going to look in the spring to make sure it held, but the grass came in. It was about 3 inches high, and it looked good. Yes.
So does that violation stay in effect?
Yeah, that's a good question. You can take it away. No, it looked good.
Yeah.
It looked good.
Okay. So a motion that says notice of violation on Tamarack Swamp Road has been satisfied? Remediation of the violation has been satisfied.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that the notice of violation on 19 Tamarack Swamp Road has been remediated and satisfied.
Second.
Motion made second. Any discussion?
I just want to know if the placards are up, Aaron.
No, the placards, did we require that?
I believe
Well,
we
he might want them. Offer them to him.
Okay. Okay.
He's been such a cooperative person. Right?
Yes.
Okay. Call for vote. Nick?
Yes.
Deb?
Yes.
Yes.
Jimmy?
Yes.
Okay. Number 7. This notice of violation is in the works. What's the status on Quigley Road,
That-
119 Quigley?
I did a report on that one out in
Yeah.
your packet on Friday. If you could just hold on. It's coming along. But the point of, I mean, I wrote the report, just, it's good for the file, because as things drag on, things take, different things happen with a site, so it's good to have a record of it. He is cooperating fully. He's a very meticulous kind of person, so he has me out to just make sure everything's copacetic. I've been out several times. He bought all these native plantings from Earth Tones. They were delivered, and they're probably in by now. He had me out to make sure I liked how they were arranged. You know, we want a naturalistic arrangement, and we didn't want some in the shade. Certain ones do better in the shade. We're moving them around, and so on. I encouraged him, if he felt like spending more money, to even buy more plants, because it's a beautiful wetland setting, etc. This is an example, and I've learned from this. I learned from everything here. And one example here is to not, I'm going to encourage the commission not to, and myself, not to approve things right up to the wetland line. Because with homeowners, especially with homeowners, you know, that can, I encourage a buffer of some, even if it's 10 feet. 10 feet's better than nothing. In this case, it was right up to the wetland line, and he wasn't supposed to extract any roots, you know, this kind of thing, and so on. It was just physical removal of the bushes, you know, clearing the bushes, and so on. As it turns out, what happened, and this is another thing I'm going to actually, Mr. Chairman, I'm going, next time I'm going to present the commission with certain changes in policy, and some of them might be regulatory, but approaches to get better, for things to work more smoothly. So we don't have situations like this, where this was a well-meaning individual, and it went awry, it went sideways, but not due to his intention. So to minimize such things. Now, what happened, we used another issue which I didn't articulate maybe, we were using the original wetland, 30-year-old wetland map, okay? Now, we're not going to make a homeowner he just wanted to clear a little bit of area in his backyard. I'm not going to make him spend $300 to reinvent the wetland line in this situation. And if it was an in-ground pool, maybe. But anyway, so that wetland line has changed, and even he is chagrined. After they took down the bushes, he's looking at standing water, like, 8-inch deep standing water, pools. And he's like, oh, I didn't want that. No, you didn't want that. So here's a case where the wetlands weren't where they were 30 years ago, is the point of my story. So it behooves us to, even although we don't want people to spend their hard-earned money on, new wetland demarcation, it might be prudent to do so in some cases.
All right, so is this violation still in effect then?
It's still,
Doesn't sound like
yeah, it's still going. Keep it still going, because we have to make sure it doesn't turn bad over the winter and so on, and half the plants don't die. So, yeah, I would keep it on.
Okay, so let's vote to maintain the violation on number 7.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that the notice of violation on 119 Quigley Road, Matt Turner, remain in effect.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I'm just curious, why was it necessary to say one was no longer active? Doesn't a violation remain active until we say it is no longer, like we just did on the previous?
But I thought she said that everything was being planted and done. I thought it was completed. She indicated that it had been planted, the plantings were in and everything. That's why I asked her.
I didn't know it was necessary to continue it. I thought it was an automatic thing until we say it's finished. I mean,
Yeah.
she might say it's basically done, but we're not quite ready yet.
Well, that's what she did. That's
Yeah.
the way it ended up. But I first heard that I thought she indicated it was done.
Yeah, do we have to then declare that we're going to continue it?
Yes.
So we had closed it.
No, we hadn't closed it. We just were discussing it.
That's
No.
my point, in fact.
What?
We're just discussing an active violation, is that correct?
Yeah.
It remains active until we close it. Now, if we want to reopen it, we could do that, but we have never closed this, so it remains.
Right. But she will tell you they want all violations reestablished after every meeting.
Oh, my apologies. Gotcha.
Okay? That's the only thing I was heading to.
Thoroughly understood, thank you.
Okay, number 5.
Is there a vote yet?
I
No,
interrupted it.
I think, no, you interrupted.
No.
No. All in favor? You were the last vote, I think. Or are we under discussion?
I say yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes. Voted for. Okay, number 5, 24 Maplewood Road, Patricia Clark. Nothing's changed with that?
Right, and I was a little unclear if you wanted it on the agenda tonight or not, because we had a discussion on that too.
Well, I would like to discuss about putting it on the land records.
Okay?
To discuss this is because this goes back to what everyone says, oh, it was never on my land records that it was a wetland. Oh, there was not a violation on my land records. Every time we get almost ready to satisfy all the issues, she refuses to participate. So why don't we look forward, take that up to Janice too, and work that on land records.
Do you want
It's
to
ongoing.
vote on that, or I'm just supposed to ask Janice if it's appropriate to do that?
Maybe ask Janice if it's appropriate to do it,
Okay, so
because
maybe-
this, I believe that the corner of the property that she is complaining water's flowing across was a wetland, was the flow of the property for 100 years. I believe she put pipes in there to try to catch drainage. I think she tried to do everything in that corner to dry it out and make her own lawn. I believe that had she worked with the neighbor, they could have piped it and everyone been happy, but instead, this thing is going on and on and on. And pipes that say they're from the foundation, I'd like a closer elevation if that would be the case. I don't quite accept that. And that's all, this is all fine and well. This violation, though, had a lot to do with things that were not on her property, that she created on other people's property. And that may be the only reason why we can't get a land record notice on this property, because you got to determine if there's still a violation on this property. Okay? Okay. So, but let's have notice of violation remains on this also.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that the notice of violation on 24 Mapleview Road, Patricia Clark, remain in effect.
Second?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Now, the only one we missed on remains in effect is number 1. But number 1 is already up to law department. Does she still want us to keep this in effect?
I'm sorry, I was talking to the recording secretary. What, the number
Number
one?
Do we want to vote on that remains in effect?
Yeah,
It's
it's
already
still,
up.
it's still a violation, yeah.
Yes, but it's up to the law department.
Correct? Yes, it can, yes, it still remains,
It
yes.
still remains. Vote.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that the notice of violation on 1245 Old Colony Road and Quinnipiac River remain in effect.
Second.
Second. Any discussion? None? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? No. Okay, so that's pretty much the whole, run through the basic agenda.
Mr. Chairman,
Going back to,
could I just, regard to the violation concept, it probably has something to do with my absence here, but whatever happened to the Andrews Cook Road area?
other than a joke from Corps of Engineers and a few other things, but go ahead.
All right, that property has 2 running orders on it right now, accumulating monetary fines. One is ours, the town of Wallingford went to the court, and the court asked for $250,000 remediation for Mr. Andrews to do it. That Jim Milone and McBroom came up with a remediation plan that if it was done would cost $250,000. So Mr. Andrews didn't do it, and the court then ordered that was, what's it called, in violation of the court, forget the word, but, and so he set a fine every day. So there's a $200, I believe it is, fine accumulating every day now for 5 years on that order. The other order is with the Environmental Protection Agency in Boston, and there is a fine accumulating on that as well.
How much?
I'm not sure about that one.
So is that a means by which he gets removed from our listings?
That's a question I'd have to ask the law department.
Yeah, because they're looking for us to review and to make sure we have all our violations renewed. That's certainly one that's been ignored, and it's a very significant one, so I'd like clarification on that.
Okay, and it
Should it
also,
be on our list, or I'd hate to see them go back to court and say, well, there's nothing in their list about us. Yeah, well, we kind of dropped the ball on that, and I'd like to see that checked into.
okay, I'll do that.
Jimmy, I think it was pretty involved. I mean, I went down and testified. We were in court. He represented himself.
I was
once,
there, yeah.
Twice, 3 times.
I was there in the first one anyways.
And I think after a fashion, they finally wound up and got upset with them and took over. I mean, it took a long time for a Corps of Engineers or EPA to step up to it.
I must say, when we were there at the time, I was very impressed with the person there who was facing all these charges when the judge said, well, what do you expect? And he said, I expect you to do what you're supposed to do. Whoa, okay. Yeah, that was quite astounding.
I don't know if you're going to have a check on it.
You're going to give us a report on
Sure.
what the status was next month?
Yeah, that's a good idea, thank you.
Also
Yeah.
make a note there, because I heard that the property belonged to the children.
Yes, it does.
We put the property in the children's name, so technically, who do we deal with? Do we deal with Mr. Andrews, or we deal with the family?
I was in the courtroom when the judge said it goes to everybody. It's on, you know,
It's okay,
the judge wasn't fooled by that.
okay, that's fine.
And the three that own it with the father aren't too happy, from what I understand. Okay. We can go back to North Main Street Extension. There's nobody here. I can't. I mean, we can vote on it, and then he's got to deal with it. He's got to accept all the conditions that we have, but it's not usually our style. What do you want to do, Jim? What do you think?
I'm very nervous about making approvals when, can you make an approval conditional on their approval? I mean, that's going overboard. In view of the fact that it's not going to create a major environmental issue, it may create legal issues with the neighbors. Our job is to protect both, but our principal job is the environment. You still got a little bit of time. I put them on notice and say, you got to be here at the next meeting or you're in serious legal problems.
The other thing is that he could do this list of conditions on his own, and then come back next month and say these conditions were all met. Or does he need a vote to do these? If he just went out and did them on his own,
Conditions 1 through 4 are about non-compliance with the permit we gave him, I don't know, 6 months ago, right? Conditions 6 is about the new design, the modification. Definitely needs your approval for condition number 6, the modification. The other things, I could send him a notice of violation letter on, that he's non-compliant with those things. I don't know, it's kind of funny. Usually, we don't have people coming back for a second dip, bite of the apple here.
well, I think, my opinion is, I don't want to vote on this tonight. If he wants to go and do what you want done by next month, it should be easier to vote on.
I originally thought the chairman instructed you to work with him and get that cleaned up out there. So whatever you decided that needed to be done out there was to be done. Now that the neighbors are involved because of some soil contaminants went on their property, I still think it's your job to make sure it's done. I would notify him that the list of conditions that you have here you gave us, I hope this is the same list of conditions he has. He needs to get them done within the next month and be here for the next meeting to update us on why they're not done if they're not done. And then due to penalty of or fine, because you're concerned with it, we don't want that place to sit like that all winter long. The way the rains we've had, it's just a major accident waiting to happen. And I'm surprised that the contractor's not here tonight to explain what's going on.
I know they picked this up Friday afternoon after I wrote it, because their fax machine broke, so they came and got it in person. And maybe somebody fell ill or something. I was expecting them to be here.
You gave this to him Friday night, that late, for a whole month? To get
Friday
this?
afternoon they got this, yeah.
What took a whole month to prepare it?
Let's see, when did we get the engineer's report? On the 26th of October. I got I had to, I mean, I'm glad she approved
Well-
that. So, and so
Well,
on.
that's,
Oh, is this something you can handle, Aaron?
Oh, yes, but this was supposed to be approved last month, and the reason their engineer was dragging on getting his plan, he was too busy to get the plan in before your last meeting. So I'm really frustrated that he's not here tonight, because I thought this was going to be approved in October. You didn't have it then, don't get me wrong, but it was only because he was too busy to get the plan in the door. So,
Do we have a bond on it?
no,
Bond?
no.
that's almost got to be a mandatory thing in the future. And the spoils from this new road they're putting in is piling up in the back. Is there silt fence around the spoils? The pile that you can't get down and back and see the brook?
There's a silt fence around the first one, which is about the size of this table. I mean, they had a small one. But the ones, I'm not concerned about that one. They might have even used that up by now. It's the ones in the back. It's enormous. It's like bigger than this room. I mean, it's big. It's been accumulated for many years, and it's one, I was told might be things coming in from the outside in there. I mean, to accumulate that much material, it's not just the cemetery's vegetation.
They took quite a knoll off the side of that hill with the road. I was down in there the other day. There's quite a chunk off that knoll. Remember where that tree was laying down for years, right there on the top?
Yeah.
That's all cut right down. I think if you really got into it, you're within the upland review area of not Patton's Brook, but the satellite brook that's unnamed that's right there at the north end of the property.
Oh, yeah, Pennsburg kind of braids. It's kind of braided stream, yeah.
I know the area pretty
Yeah,
well.
yeah.
I cut a hole in the fence and ran the barbed wire around so the cows could get drinking out of that little brook one year. So it goes back a little bit. Anyhow, okay, so that gets dealt, that's tabled till next month. You want to vote on that? Being tabled?
Sure, I mean, it doesn't hurt to vote on
Well, it
tabling
doesn't,
it.
leave it alone then, just as,
Yeah.
no.
I'm just thinking maybe he assumed it was gonna, there's nothing wrong with this and it will just go through. He doesn't have to be here.
You know what happens when people assume.
Yeah, I don't know.
Okay, we might as well hit the reports and communications, and we're out of here. Fines, yeah, ironically, as much as we've avoided them for 30 years, 33 years, 36 years, whatever, it seems like somewhere along the line they're going to have to be put in because people are ignoring them. What's the story with Farm Hill Detention Basin?
That's waiting on me doing what needs to be done, what I have been requested to do on that.
Well, can we get that done before next month?
I could do the letters before next month,
Yeah,
yes.
because it doesn't look like there's enough new business here to keep you busy all month.
Well, actually, I've put together a draft of the things I want to tighten up with how applications are dealt with, how they can run more smoothly. And I'll talk about one thing is with the COVID thing, the engineers got used to not coming in, and I want to reinstitute that, to insist they come in and sit down with us.
I'll tell you, they'll come in when they don't get approval, when they think they're going to get approval. They'll be in to see you on Thursday morning, I'm sure of it.
Yeah, I actually wasn't referring to Mr. Gable. I was more referring to some of the big ones we've been having lately. The engineering firms are so busy, they don't want to come in and sit down with me for 2 hours, waste their time driving there.
And I don't want to be here any longer than I need to be here, but, that's the way it is. You're here to do business, and we're here once a month to do business. But Farm Hill Detention Basin, that lost its ability to be a detention basin. The people plugged up the outlet. It doesn't retain, it doesn't control flows. Whatever comes down the hill goes down the brook. So let's get that done. In Kakiwak, that's annual conference, Bristol Center. As you sent the bulletin out,
Yes,
those who All right, then I think I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Second,
Second.
any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None. Okay.